and welcome to another episode of the How Long to Beat podcast. I'm your host, Paula, joined as always by Josh over there.
Hello, everybody.
And today, we have lots to talk about than usual, I think, since neither of us have beaten or retired anything this week. But we've been playing a bunch of games and we have a discussion topic, which we've been kicking around for some time, which is subscriptions versus free versus one-time purchase games.
hmm
Another kinds of, I guess, consumption or like monetization of games in general. Uh, also this week we are not guessing a game, mainly because we just finished our round, or I guess a round of guessing game last week. So we decided not to jump straight into another round and just l- let let it like settle down a little bit first.
Yeah.
So yeah, Josh, would you mind to talk about your games first? Because I see a
hmm
little thing that I would talk about there last week showing up.
Yeah, so I've only been playing like a few games since last time we spoke. Well, a few new ones, I guess. There are a couple of older ones I've dipped into here and there, but don't really have anything to say. But in classic me fashion, I spent most of my time in a crappy simulator game, just watching movies and listening to music and just zoning out because I've had a busy week at work, IRL, and I just needed to come home and switch off and just not really think for most of the time that I was playing games. So I picked up very cheaply for like a few bucks Ship Graveyard Simulator, which there's now a Ship Graveyard Simulator 2. So this is the first game in the now series.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, the premise is that you have a shack on a beach and there's like a little shanty town next to you, but the beach is covered in shipwrecked ships and different bits of debris and, this sort of thing that you can scavenge parts from, like you can scavenge steel and copper and different metals and that sort of stuff. Then when you get enough money, you can order decommissioned ships to be delivered to your beach, which you can then jump on and basically pull all the valuable stuff out of and, chop up bits and bobs here and there to get different precious metals and stuff. And then you can kind of combine them and create new alloys and things to then craft things, but then ultimately sell them and make lots of money and get better tools that you use to do all this and hire people to go scavenging for you. And yeah, there's this whole progression thing about basically, chopping up ships, which, it's not even the greatest simulator game. I'll say that right off the bat. It's pretty average, but it's not bad either. Like it's literally you order a ship, the ship shows up on the beach, you climb aboard and you just kind of explore the whole place and look for everything that you can take from it, essentially. And so you can't actually break down the entire ship. At least I haven't found a way to. But there's always lots of debris around. Like there's crates and there's barrels and there's different parts of machinery and things that you can bust bits off. And you've got various tools to do the job. So you've got a big hammer that you can whack stuff with and break it. You've got like a saw, starts off as a hacksaw, but then you can upgrade it to like a circular saw. You've got like a blowtorch kind of thing where you can bust off hinges from boxes and things that are on the walls and they'll bust open and have valuable stuff inside. You've got a mop for like oil spills and things because you can mop up the oil and put it in a barrel and keep it and then sell it. And yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff like that. And it's, it's compelling enough so far. Like the progression is really, really quick or really rapid, I should say. Like it's got every time you do a ship, you kind of progress significantly because there's like a skill tree as well to unlock as you go. And you get experience for everything you do and you level up and you gain skill points. And then you use those skill points to unlock better better tools. So tools that use fuel more efficiently, so you don't have to keep buying more fuel. Tools that do more damage, so they basically will cut through things quicker, or if you're whacking them with your hammer, it'll break them quicker, that sort of thing. But also you upgrade your inventory space on both you and your vehicle, because you have a car that you can take with you to the ship that you can load stuff up in the back of as well. And yeah, it's a very simple game. Like pretty much that covers all of it. It's just a really good zone out, satisfying kind of game. Kind of in a similar way to Power Wash Simulator, but nothing near as good as Power Wash Simulator. This is definitely a bit limited, I would say, in scope. However, I know from having played the demo that Ship Graveyard Simulator 2 has much more intricacies, or many more intricacies involved, where instead of just bashing stuff with a hammer, you have to kind of, cut holes in walls so that you can get wiring out and take out like rebar kind of reinforcements from concrete and all this kind of stuff. Whereas in this first game, all you do is literally walk up to an item, smack it with whatever tool you need to smack it with, and then the resources kind of just burst out when it's dead, and you just pick them up and go on to the next item. So yeah, it's pretty good. I'll probably play it through until I've gone through all the ships that are available, because there's a bunch of ships that you can order, and each one is different sizes, has different amounts of materials, different valuable materials as well, and they each cost a certain amount per day to have on your beach, and some of the larger ones obviously take many days to get through. So you've got to make sure that you've got enough money. But I'm at the point now where I've got so much money, like I've got like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I think the most expensive ship costs like a few grand a day to keep on your beach, and I haven't even got there yet. So yeah, by the time I get there, I'll probably have shed loads of money. So anyway, that's what I've spent most of my time on this week. As you know, I know people always roll their eyes when I talk about simulator games, but that's okay. They're good fun. They're great zone out things. I've been working a lot. I just need to switch off, Don't hate me. It's all good. But
It happens.
yeah.
Yeah, it was very funny because today in the morning, well, in the morning for me, I was like, "Hey, we're recording today, right?" And he was like, Josh was like, "Yeah, I should probably play something else besides Chip Graveyard Simulator."
Yeah, because I needed to talk about something else. And thankfully I did, because my favorite game I played this week, which wasn't surprising at all, I started playing the Procession to Calvary, which, for anyone in the know, is the quote-unquote sequel, although not story-wise, but it's the second game, spiritual successor, I guess, to Four Last Things, I think it's called, or Four Last Words. I think it's called Four Last Things. And these are point-and-click adventure games, which are
I
made
was
by the
about
same
to
guy.
ask.
Yep.
Like, I just look for it and found like the Steam thumbnail.
Yep.
And it screams point and click. Not in a bad way. It was like, this is a point and click game.
Yep. Pretty much. Well, and the whole kind of, there are two things that make these games unique and interesting for me. The first being that all the graphics and art are taken from like classic paintings from history. So
Ooh.
like all the scenes that you go through are actual, masterwork paintings from like, hundreds of years ago, from the Renaissance and before. And all the characters you meet are also, featured portraits that are from, back in the day and all that kind of stuff. So the art is amazing because, it's all public domain now. So it's, you can use it. But the way it's used is also amazing, because then the second thing that makes these games really good is they are funny. Like, they're written really well and they're hilarious, and the dialogue is ridiculous, and the whole point, the quests and everything, the whole main mission is ridiculous, but it's actually really clever and really funny, and there's some really good gags in there. And if you're, it kind of reminds me a bit of the original Monty Python animations, where it's very kind of collagey and taking real photos or real pictures and then making them move around kind of thing, even though they weren't intended to in the first place. And so
Right. Yeah.
so yeah, in the Procession to Calvary, you start off as a character who uh basically the Crusades have finished or something like that, and but you're kind of annoyed because you want to keep murdering people. So your character decides that you're going to go and murder the current, I think, kind of like the Pope, but not the Pope. Like, I forget already what their title is, but the leader of the land that you're in, who's a religious leader, you decide, I'm going to go kill them because people don't like them anyway. So off you go on your adventure to go kill them because you're not done with killing people. It's it's really just great because it's also got a very classical music soundtrack of the times, and to the point every scene you go into there's a different soundtrack playing, but there's also some musicians in the scene somewhere playing that music. So there was this one scene where I kind of walked down to the docks and I wanted to talk to a boatman to take me across the river, and so I'm talking to him and I'm listening to this music playing in the background, and it's like this kind of lute music. And it's just, there's also really funny gags where, like, this one, I'm talking to this guy, and as soon as I'm done, I kind of move to the side, and behind me, which I couldn't see before, is this dude sitting in the boat playing his lute. And you suddenly go, that's where the music's coming from. And it's just one of those really funny little sight gags that, I don't know, made me laugh out loud. And not a lot of games make me laugh as hard as these games do. So, and then they even like lean into the weirdness of some Renaissance paintings. Like, there are these two guards outside of a town that you go to, and they're portraits from paintings. One of them is this dude who's holding this massive key, like it's about as big as he is, and
Okay.
and the other one is this dude who looks kind of like like a clerk or something in an old school bank or something like that. Like he's sitting down, he's got a book and he's got a quill and he's kind of writing in it, and he's looks like a Renaissance painting. So they don't let you into the town initially, but the guy with the big key, basically, the other guy is saying you can't come in without this sort of pass, and you need to get this kind of visa and rah rah rah. And the other guy's just like, I've got a big key, and and that's kind of his whole thing. And it kind of makes you think, yeah, someone painted this picture of in real life of this dude with a massive key, and we don't really know why. Well, I don't know why
Yeah.
anyway. My art history doesn't go that deep.
Yeah. I'm looking at the pictures on Steam and they're pretty funny. Like, uh, okay, some of the pictures are like just copy and paste from Renaissance paintings
Mm.
without any changes at all. But there's like this scene on the Steam page where uh, three people or characters from paintings are like holding up numbers,
Yep.
and it's just so clearly edited that it is funny.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. All the pieces come from paintings, but
Yeah.
yeah, they just do things with them to, you know, to do a gag or to make it funny or just to fit in the scene, that sort of thing.
It surprised me like the amount of effort that goes through finding like that specific painting that where there's a character in just the right pose
Yeah.
to have them like spin like another person like over a fire if it there were like a steak or something.
Yeah. But it also, like, the paintings also dictate the story a little bit in a good way, because yeah, so Joe Richardson, uh who made this one and made the previous one, I imagine he obviously sits down and just kind of, or she, I guess he or she, I don't know who Joe is, but they sit down and look at a whole bunch of old paintings and that sort of thing and kind of piece them together to make a story. Because, like, there's one scene where you do get into the town, and so you start talking to the townspeople, and it's a painting of all these people sitting at this massive square table, but at the head of the table, which everyone is looking at, there is this guy who looks like a stereotypical magician. He's not in the painting probably meant to be a magician. He's probably like a a mayor or something like that, or someone worth painting, basically. But as you talk to him, all these people are like, oh, wow, he's doing really cool tricks and everything. And he's like, come see my magic. and you're like, oh, can you show me a trick? He's like, not without payment. And so, they kind of lean into certain paintings and kind of take the piss out of them as well, and kind of interpret them in a different way than they were probably intended to, to then make them funny and that sort of thing. And for me, it really works. I loved it. I loved Four Last Things, and I'm really enjoying Procession to Calvary. And yeah, it's just such a great kind of concept and great execution. And yeah, I can't recommend it enough. So I'm looking forward to finishing that one off and playing that through. I'll probably have that done soon, because I don't think it's very long either. The first one wasn't very long, so I don't expect this one to be very long. But yeah, that is Procession to Calvary. The last game that I played a bit more of, which I'm sure Paula is more interested in, is Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, which is the one that Paula picked for me to play from our guessing game after winning our guessing game. So I picked it up again last night as well and played about half an hour or thereabouts to just kind of get myself back into the rhythm, because I want to obviously keep playing it and finish at least the first game, if not continue through the trilogy. And I remembered what I like and what I don't like about it, which, as I was saying to Paula earlier before we started recording, thankfully there's a lot more I like about it than I don't like, because that's why I'm still playing it, obviously, and enjoying myself. So
nice.
Not to bum everyone out, but the things I don't like about it are essentially things that are just pure taste. Like, I'm not a big fan of the whole art style and presentation of at least the first game. I'm sure it changes over the games, over the years and that sort of thing, but...
Yeah. Which version of the game you're playing?
The Steam Trilogy version? I don't...
Oh, yeah, like, I don't know if the thing you don't like about the art is, like, I guess the textures of the painting, pretty much?
Kind of. It's got that old... And this might sound really judgmental, but it's that art style that, you see... A lot of indie developers who this is their first visual novel game, they have that same art style where they have the same kind of shading on characters and the same kind. It's like they've learned that the gradient tool exists in Photoshop, and
Yeah.
there's not a lot of artistry to it in my mind. Like, it's not very advanced. It's kind of very amateurish in its execution, which is fine. Like, that's what I mean. I'm not complaining. It's more a taste thing than anything else. It's not. It still works, and the characters are very well designed and drawn and everything. It's just that kind of probably the era that it came out as well has something to do with it, because it's got that kind of early days of Photoshop kind of look to it.
You know what? Actually, like, that specific version of the game, like the HD remake, is not like everyone's favorite cup of tea, mainly because of the art style. The
Yeah,
original
right.
Ace Attorney on the GBA and on the DS, and even like the remake on 3DS for the trilogy, they use pixel art.
Yeah, so that might be even better.
Yeah, it was like way better, and I don't know why they decided to go like with this smooth gradient Photoshop kind of thing for
Yeah.
the HD version. So fun thing is that it seems that the developers like heard the fans, because well, the second trilogy is mainly like 3D models, so that wasn't like really
Okay.
impacted by it. But the investigations remake that they're like going to put on Switch does have like a trigger to use either like the old art style or the new art style.
Cool. That's a good idea. Yeah, I love when they do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is, in my opinion, what they should have done in the first place with this one. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, and I feel like that kind of, I call it like learning how to use Photoshop kind of art style, because that's what it makes sense to me. But it's kind of like early 3D games and stuff, how at the time they were like, oh, this is amazing. But it didn't age very well, because very quickly we got a lot better than that. And that's what I feel like this is like at the time it was probably like, oh, wow, this is new and fresh and cool. But then it got dated very quickly. So that's okay. I can forgive all that kind of thing. That's fine.
And by
Doesn't
they
put
did,
me off at all.
and but they did very quickly. Like it was like they did the day it released.
Well, exactly. So yeah, that it's not enough to put me off though, because yeah, like I say, the main bulk of it is very entertaining. The other thing though that I don't gel with, which is more a me thing, is very much just how the characters are written and all that kind of thing. It's very JRPG visual novel kind of. I throw
Yeah.
it all in that basket kind of thing, which is fine because that's where it's coming from, so I get it. And I'm not don't necessarily criticize it for that. It's just it's not really something that excites me, if you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
not it's not the kind of writing that I go, oh goody, I want more of this. So yeah. But having said that, it's also not annoying enough that it makes me want to put it down. So it's okay to get through, and I can I'm a pretty fast reader anyway, so I just kind of cruise on through at my own pace. And there's a lot of fluff kind of I find in a lot of the dialogue, which doesn't need to be there. But if you're into that sort of thing, it's probably good that it is there because it kind of fleshes out the characters a lot more and gives them more personality and all that kind of thing. So it's all good. It's just not really my taste. But
Fair enough.
the thing I do really like about these games is mostly the courtroom stuff and the whole mystery solving the case kind of loop. I really enjoy. I think it's really well done, and I haven't played many games that do it as well or as, I guess, I don't want to say complex, but with as much depth, even though there's not super amounts of depth and other things do go deeper. It's much deeper than most kind of visual novels with choice would kind of have you do, for want of a better word, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, more or
yeah,
less.
it's a good balance, I think, but it's not just a visual novel where you're going down branching paths. It actually is more than that. There's actually interpretations to make and investigations, and you've actually got to think and use your noggin to kind of get the results you need and figure out what clues you can use when and all that kind of stuff, and actually think about what I like the whole system of hearing someone's testimony and then like analyzing it and going, hang on, that bit's not right because I interviewed this person or I went here and found this bit of evidence and rah, rah, rah. So I can object that and, point out a contradiction or something like that. I like that kind of stuff. That's cool because it does feel challenging at times. And sometimes you really have to scratch your head and think about everything that's going on and, try and piece together the right thing. And it's easy to fuck up as well. So
True.
So I
Uh,
like that.
One of the things that I like on this series is the music, especially like the courtroom music.
Yeah, I do like it, but I guess because I've played through, well, not obviously recently, I haven't played it for a while, but I played through the first 4 cases pretty quickly. So the music gets really repetitive.
Yeah, I think it, but if I remember correctly, it does get better with the second trilogy. But some specific tracks, uh, yeah, they kind of get old really quick. But the one track that that I always love to hear is the one where you are supposed to be like losing and suddenly it's like objection, and it
Yeah,
goes like the music goes very hard, like real quick. I
yeah.
love it.
Yeah, it's good at adding to the whole tone and the tension of the whole thing, especially in those like tense moments in court where the music's like, ramping up and getting really tense and you're just like, oh, what do I do? And everyone's, got the sweat emojis on them and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really good in that sense. And yeah, I'm like I say, I'm playing through the 5th case, which is the additional one from the first game, because I think there was even a note in the game that said this is the additional one from DS, or maybe not. I can't remember.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
it's interesting so far because I haven't got far enough to really know what's going on. But I've picked up the case. I've met the people. I've interviewed a few people and checked out a few scenes, and it's it's a few curly questions in there for me already. So I'm trying to kind of think about it and figure it out. But obviously, I don't want to spoil anything, or I don't really have any main theories yet or anything. But we'll pick
Yeah,
that up next time
definitely.
probably.
Oh, actually, I would like to see like your reactions, like maybe like on Discord or something like that. Just like write your theories and reactions, just because I love that. Though I
Yeah.
have to say, like the reason why there's an additional case in the, to begin with. Well, first of all, the original Ace Attorney wasn't GBA. It was made by a very very small team of people,
Hmm.
like an incredibly small team of people, and the I think it was the creator or director, whatever. He was like he saw a courtroom case, and he was like, "I want to make a game around that." And people were like, "You're crazy!" And he said, "Like, here, come to the courtroom." And everyone was like, "Okay." Like an
Man,
hour later, everyone was like into the idea. But
does that mean that courtrooms in Japan are like Ace Attorney?
I mean, like I mean, he wanted like he said like it was very interesting, like the the back and forth, I guess,
Yeah.
uh, with the evidence and all that. So he took the concept, turned the level up to 11, and went with it. Though I
Yeah.
think the courtroom is like a combination of various things, because it isn't like a Japanese system courtroom, but it isn't like a completely like um what's the name, like a Western, I guess, courtroom.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, and it's obviously very much not realistic in that
at all,
sense.
yeah,
It's based on real ideas, but yeah, obviously, and it doesn't need to be realistic. Like that, how boring would that be? But it is. Yeah, it's cool, and that's what I mean. I really like that whole interrogation and investigation and looking at clues and evidence and all that kind of thing, and trying to, you know, figure out where people slip up and all that kind of thing. That's a lot of fun.
definitely. No,
So
oh
I'm
yeah,
glad
I
that's
was
the
gonna say
main
that
part. Yeah.
the last case, sorry, the extra case was added
Mm.
on the DS version of the first Ace Attorney, and it was supposed to be like a showcase of the things that the DS could do,
Ah,
and
okay.
like or give you an idea of what to expect from the next few games in the series, I guess. So, well, there are things that, in my opinion, uh, well, they make sense on the modern HD remake, but
Mm-hmm.
they were like a little bit different on the DS version. Uh, well, the DS has the ability to render the some simple 3D models, so they use that so you can, uh, I guess, inspect evidence in a different way from the first four cases.
Yeah, yeah.
There are times where you have to blow into the microphone, like to dust off something, for example.
I haven't hit that
Uh,
yet.
so it also uses like that the microphone on the DS. And also, and this is like the one thing that I'm sad they took out, just because it was like so silly and I loved it.
Mm.
On the DS games, and I think even in the 3DS games, now that I think about it, um, you can just press like objection hold or whatever, or you can activate the microphone and shout it yourself, and that and that just make me stupidly happy.
It's one of those things that's a good idea, but I don't think I'd ever use personally.
Yeah, like the only reason I used it in the first place it is because I'm just a goofball. So yeah. And I don't remember like what else was like that DS only feature at the time. But yeah, like they oh well. Usually like the evidence inspection and everything like that takes place in the lower screen in the DS.
Right.
So usually like the top screen is just dialogue and the portraits and whatever you're seeing, and on the bottom screen you have all the evidence and stuff. So yeah.
That would be cool. Yeah, to see it all at the same time as well.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have done one inspection of evidence where you have to kind of turn it around in a 3D kind of space and then like open it up to find more evidence.
Mhm.
It's the tutorial one in the case. It's basically you
Yeah.
find a wallet, so you need to open it up and find the contents. So yeah, that was cool. Something extra. I don't know how much it adds because it kind of just adds something in between uh, you and the evidence you need to find.
Yeah.
But this was just a wallet. Maybe they'll use it in more interesting ways down the line. We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, I'm liking it. I'm looking forward to seeing how this case plans out, and I'm sure I'll tell you all about it as we go. So yeah, thanks for suggesting it again, Paula.
Thanks for playing it because it makes me happy.
Awesome. Well, talking about what makes you happy, let's hear about what you've been playing this last week because there's some cool stuff on there that I want to hear about.
Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna talk about things that I played in the past and I'm currently playing. And also,
Mm-hmm.
there's two new games on the list. Let's start with the old ones. With my boyfriend's brother, we're playing Civ 5, a multiplayer hot seat uh, match. And the thing is that we were playing a long time ago, like a given match. And what happened is that, well, since we put the civilizations like on random, I got like, okay, not an S tier broken Civ. We were looking at a tier list, and I got like an A tier. He got like an F tier,
Nice.
which pretty much had like no bonus, or like the bonus were so meta that they didn't matter. So after uh, many hours of playing on that one, we ended up like on a standstill for a while because the map was so small and we didn't want to attack each other like immediately. But also, he was having like economical issues with his city because everyone was unhappy. Something happened. The gold wasn't golding, I guess. So yeah, um, we ended up starting like an encephal. We randomized the tiers, like the civilizations again, but this time around we made sure we were like on a similar tier and both have decent bonuses and stuff like that. So I'm playing as Greece, and he's playing as the Arabian civilization. And we
Mm-hmm.
decided to use a bigger map so we wouldn't be like stepping on each other's toes like so early in the game. We're still playing hot seat, so we know what each of us is doing. But it's kind of fun to see like everyone uh, getting a different experience like on the same map.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about this one in particular because, uh, well, we're just chilling, starting up our civilizations. He was just like starting to explore, and I think was his either like an expert or a warrior that he sent. They ran into a Chinese explorer or warrior. And for some reason, like literally, they just met, and China was like, you know what? I don't like you. Like, I mean, China didn't attack him, but they pretty much like said like, I want nothing to do with you out of fucking nowhere. And I'm like, hey, the last time something like this happened to me, like a civilization calling me out or like just saying I don't like you, it was because I built a city like just by it, like by London or something like that. So England was like, get the fuck out of here. You did nothing.
I seem to remember that you had issues with Japan last time as well.
I had issues with a lot of civilizations last time, but in the early game, I had issues with England, and it was
Yep.
very funny because in that like it was a solo run, so I got the United States pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like very funny that England had beef with me.
I was going to make a joke that playing United States, that's why you had beef with everybody, but we won't go into that.
Yeah, I swear I wasn't role playing, but it makes sense like in retrospective. It really does make sense. But okay, come on, like okay, England, I understand. I
Yeah.
built a city just outside of London. England didn't like that, so I guess that made us enemies. And also, they like denounced me or something like that. But it was like, okay, okay, I'm getting rid of you first. Then it
Yeah.
was
You just made the list, motherfucker.
yeah. Then it was Mongolia, I think, or Japan. Who was the one that?
It's all right.
Oh
I
no, it
remember it
was
was a lot of
Japan
people.
because like I have beef with Mongolia, and Japan have beef with Mongolia or something like that. I think it was Mongolia. And then it was
Mm,
like, hey, let's attack Mongolia. And it was like, yeah, let's go. And I attacked Mongolia. And Japan pointing that finger at me and said that I was a bitch. So it was like,
that's right. I remember. Yeah.
yeah, top 10 anime betrayals, people. So yeah. But here, literally, he did nothing. He just found, hey, there's a scout there. Hello. And the scout looked back at him and it was like, I don't like you. Get out of here. So yeah. Um, Also, he got like on a well, we're both in different pieces of land, so he's like he's met a lot of other civilizations and like mini cities that are like I guess attached to a given player in a way.
hmm
So he's just exploring, getting to know the other AI players and stuff like that. Well, I have like half an island to myself, and I have a barbarian problem. And while my warrior was getting rid of some barbarians to my left, a barbarian from the other side came and stole my worker that was, well, working there and was wielding like an improvement for me to have more money or like more food. And they just ran away with it, with him. So of course I had to go and recover what was mine. Beat the crap out of the barbarian and the barbarian camps, and also got another worker, another warrior. But anyway,
nice.
so yeah, like that's more or less like the progress so far. Since we play like a couple of days a week, they're just before classes.
hmm
For like half an hour to 40 minutes, we'll be playing this for a while. I won't be telling about the progress like every week. I'll probably just wait to have like something meaningful happen before telling you everyone about it. But yeah,
Wait
just
till the beef gets real.
yeah, pretty much.
Cool.
So yeah, I am also been playing Poké Rock. As I said, it is a roguelike and Pokemon combined and mashed together. And I think I'm on like 13th run at this point.
Wow.
And I tried to play it through the main story, which by the way there are like 200 floors in the like main campaign, and then there's like the endless mode. I'm playing just the main campaign because if I play endless mode, you guys will never see me again. So, run number 7, that was where I was last week. Well, that
uh-huh.
run only lasted like 7 more floors after I talked about it. And I was trying to catch a specific Pokemon that was like a toucan kind of thing. And the fucker just wiped my whole party.
Nice.
Uh, After that, I decided to begin my 8th run with Buzzwole, Pikachu. And I forgot to bring my Hoppip, my tiny Hoppip, to have like better items. And that run lasted 55 floors. And I have to
Wow.
say, if you can't reroll your items, or like if you don't have that extra luck that lets you like reroll some items, it shows pretty much. Like you can feel its effects after you've tried it. Run number 9 fell at level 20 because I ran into a Snorlax, and I don't know what the Snorlax ate that week, but It was a strong boy. Well, also I have part of the fall because I tried to catch it, and I only decided not to catch it after like all the Pokemon that could try to weaken it would pretty much faint it. So, well, fuck me, I guess. Then I had like my most successful run up until this point, which was run number 9. Again, I
Hmm.
started with Buzzwole because it was just broken, my tiny Hoppip, and a Wooloo for some reason. Uh, on the way, I also got like an epic egg, so you can get like eggs on some kind of like gacha machine
Right.
by getting like vouchers during like your run, and those eggs hatch, and those Pokemon are added to like your starter list. So I got an epic egg on that specific gacha. Anyway, I was doing so well. Like after floor 110, I also got like an achievement because one of my Pokemon reached and surpassed level 100, which is usually like
Wow.
the level cap on the main games. Like here, you have no level cap. And then I got to floor 145 versus your rival. So your rival, Finn, I think. Well, depending on the gender you pick for your trainer, Finn has the opposite gender. So in this
Hmm.
case, Finn is male, so I'll refer to him as a he.
Hmm.
So Finn, so far, he starts like being like very friendly and just battling you, and then as you win fights against him, he starts to get like somewhere between salty and mad at you, and a little bit crazy to put. So just before like this battle, like the last rival battle that I had with him, he was like, "No, I get it now. I have to use everything at my disposal, and power is the only thing that matters." So he was like starting to go a little cuckoo by then.
Mm.
But then I get to 105 at floor 145. His dialogue is just dot dot dot. He says nothing and throws out his starter, which I don't remember what his starter was in that round, but that doesn't matter. The point is, he got a Rayquaza. Oh, and his Pokemon are like boss tier Pokemon in the sense of they have multiple um, HP bars
Yep.
for some reason, like that fucker cheated. But also, okay, a thing that I think I haven't mentioned at this point is that any Pokemon can be shiny in the game. Like you can get Chinese from X, you can get wild tiny Pokemons. And at this point in time, I already saw a tiny Pokemon from a trainer, and it was very sad because I couldn't catch it. This fucker has a shiny Rayquaza with 3 HP bars. I had nothing to stop it with. Like Rayquaza is weak against, well, he's a dragon flying Pokemon, so he's quite weak to ice. I didn't have an ice type move. And the other things that would have made a Dendro game were like a dragon type move, but those are usually like bad dragons, but that are weak to dragons themselves. A fairy type, which I didn't have on that run, so I pretty much got wiped by that one dragon type move he had. And I didn't
Damn.
have a steel type which resists dragon and flying because he has like dragon and flying moves, I think. It was horrible. That shiny Rayquaza was the end of me. He wiped my entire party, and I was mad.
Yeah.
From then, I went through run number 10. I got to what does it say here? A level uh 80. No, sorry, I got to level 50 and lost again a fighting type gym leader because she had a Lucario. And again, that Lucario like had like a very wide move pool. So anything I throw at her, Lucario killed it. It didn't help that the one Pokemon that would be able to defeat it was fainted at the moment. So yeah, round number 11 ended up at floor 80, I think. Uh, round number 12, pretty much uh, I where the fuck did I get killed? Oh yeah, I found a Latias at floor 70, and it happened the same with the Snorlax, where I got greedy, tried to catch it, and realized I couldn't,
Mm.
and it swept our party. And now I'm at run 13, currently at at floor 41, and I'm feeling hopeful because I found like many interesting boss Pokemon that I've been able to catch. And also, I got a couple of Pokemon to help me catch a Pokemon, like with Sleep Powder, a move that doesn't, and also like a move that doesn't like literally like one hit KO everything on its path. So I got like a Gyarados with Intimidate, which is very valuable because Intimidate halves the attack of the opposing Pokemon.
Right.
And I also got like a Pokemon I forgot it existed because it's from Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Naganadel or something like that. And it is a Poison Dragon type, and it is an Ultra Beast, which is, in terms of lore in the Pokemon games, it is a Pokemon from another dimension.
Tight.
And also, another epic that I got hatching to a Galarian Articuno, which is, if I remember correctly, like dark and ice type or something like that, which is probably not the best type, but maybe I'll work with that if I lose this run, when I lose this run. So yeah, that's Pokemon Pokepro for now.
Cool.
Uh, a new game that I've been playing is Lego Builders Journey,
Mm.
and I don't remember where I heard about this game. I do remember it was like again recommended because it was like very cozy and relaxing, and it was like, hey, I got this in my backlog, might as well play it. It's only a couple of hours long,
I feel like I might
and
have mentioned it on the podcast a while ago because I did play it not so long ago, but I could be
maybe
wrong. I've definitely played it though, and it's very cool. Oh, I think it's very cool.
yeah, it is. So you're pretty much on a mini Lego world, and you're pretty much playing like as this kid and his dad. Well, you're controlling like you're making like a path for the kid to go to his dad on each of the levels. Um, and also, and the thing is that you have a limited amount of pieces, or like you have a set of pieces. Uh, so you have to build those parts, having those pieces in mind. And it kind of feels like a puzzle game, but most of the time, especially like in the later levels, it doesn't feel like there's just one answer. It's more like, hey, take these pieces, play with it,
Mm.
solve the thing, do the thing, pretty much. So yeah, I have like one minor thing that I don't like, and that is that when you pick up a piece and you want to place it in a specific place, I'm playing with mouse and keyboard. No, just mouse.
Mm.
Well, what happens is that sometimes the piece doesn't go, or like doesn't want to settle on the place you want it to settle on, and it it's mainly because it doesn't have like any indication w- on top of what it is at the moment.
Yeah.
So that can get a little bit frustrating, especially because the game is not like super clear on how this 3D space works. I've been getting better though. I still have like that one moment from time to time where I'm trying to place this fucking but that fucking Lego piece, and it doesn't want to go there. But other than that, still having like a good time. I also unlocked like the rail thingy, so that's where I'm at the moment. And
Mm,
Yeah, I feel like I like it more when you didn't have the rail, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
But let's see how this goes.
I agree with you as well. It can be fiddly, like placing things, and the angle can be a bit deceptive at times. Get ready for later in the game though, because it does towards the end. It kind of gets a much more complex in parts. So
Beautiful.
and much more puzzle solving.
I'm looking forward to it then.
Yeah, well, and what I really liked about it most was just the overall presentation really sold me a lot because it really feels like you are kind of playing with some Lego pieces.
Yeah, and that particular thing I really like about it. Like even like the water is made like by Lego pieces, and I love that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
the overall aesthetic, I feel is kind of like I don't know, like everything looks so shiny, even though like the shapes are so simple. Like they're Lego pieces. They aren't that complex, like polygon wise, but
Yep.
it still looks incredibly pretty, like to look at in general.
Yeah, I think it's almost like they went for a certain level of realism in the pieces so that you can understand them really well, but then added some filters and some effects here and there to kind of just make it kind of pop out a lot more. I feel.
Yeah, because usually even if you are not like told directly which pieces you're able to use, it's kind of like you understand which pieces you're able to use. Like as some,
Mm.
there was like this one level where a piece fell like from a mountain or something like that, and you were able to like to take pieces from that mountain, but only the ones that were similar to the one that you just grabbed. So in a certain way, it really succeeds at trying and at telling you what to do, except in one place. Now that I think about it, where you have this like two piece wide battery thingy. I was mad. I was fiddling with it so much, and I thought you had to connect it somewhere else. You just had to rotate it. Fucker. So yeah, that's the one moment in the game. I didn't use a guide. I just fiddle around with it until I put it back in place by accident, and it was like,
Yeah,
oh fucker.
cool.
But other than that, it does a very good job of telling you what to do without telling you what to do.
Mm.
So yeah.
Cool.
The one thing that I regret is that I don't know where the fuck did I put my computer mouse because I use an inalambric mouse, a wireless mouse. Sorry,
Right.
uh, I don't know where it is. I know it is at home because that's the last place I used it at. Where I don't know. So I that game is on hiatus until I still are I can borrow a wireless mouse from my boyfriend, but I cannot like take it out of the house because I have a history of losing computer mice. So yeah, so that's the main reason why progress in that game has been a little slow.
Yeah.
The other game that I've been playing, I think this is the one you are most interested to hear about, is
Hmm.
Baldur's Gate 3. Don't worry, everyone. Don't worry, Tamad. We're still playing Eye of the Beholder, so but we haven't played like this week because usually we play like together very late at night. And since I've been doing a lot of homework, we hadn't like coincide as much.
Hmm.
And who am I even trying to trick? We played that game, and my boyfriend said, "Hey, let's play Baldur's Gate 3 now," because he was really itching to jump back into it because he was playing it with a friend, and that friend has kind of disappeared from the gaming room in a way. So he was looking for another partner to play with. So
Cool.
we started playing Baldur's Gate 3. I think my boyfriend made a warrior. Methinks it was a dwarf or a halfling. I think it was a dwarf. Anyway, and I made a character that is a drow and a druid called Tifolia.
Nice.
So we started playing. Things happen. We crash landed, are introduced into the world, and we actually like found like a couple of allies so far. One of them I'll talk about in a little bit. So we okay. So we got like a very strong ally that was kind of a warrior. I don't know what her race is because like I forgot, but she was green. That's all I know.
Is it Lazel?
Lae'zel, yeah,
Yeah, she's a
her.
Githyanki.
Huh?
She's a Githyanki, is her,
Yeah,
and she's a
that's
fighter. Yeah.
yeah. We also got a Shadowheart added to our party.
Miss Emo, as she was called in our group.
Yeah, very much. It fits. So things happen. We got mainly. Well, I'm being told that I'm too rash, or that things don't usually go my way because um. So we got to a place where the cell was being held on a cage,
Yep.
and I tried to. And he tried to talk um with the people
Mm,
that had
mm,
her. And at the time, I already discovered that I was able to shapeshift because I leveled up to level 2. So I was like in kind of like a wolf farm at that point.
mm-hmm.
And since that was like my last spell slot until the another rest, he was the one talking to the NPCs. And his character doesn't really is not charismatic. He has like a negative thing on charisma. He tried to convince the tieflings to say like, "Hey, we'll take care of this." That didn't work, and they started like carrying her. And I was like, "Hey, but if I attack her, maybe I'll get into the tieflings like good side." I accidentally killed her.
Oh no.
I crit her too, so whoops.
I guess this begs the question: are you sticking with those decisions?
We're sticking with those decisions.
Oh
I am
boy.
scared though. Because I already like I've seen this story so far. I
Such a
know
big
that
character.
maybe I did something wrong. Maybe so our odds of surviving this adventure maybe just dropped to near zero, but anyway.
Oh, you'll probably survive, but
But that
each
was the
yeah,
easiest way out, right?
I think she's one of the like biggest companion quests in the
Yeah,
game,
I
which is
assume
cool.
as much.
You got to go with
And
your choices.
the funny thing is that I then went on Reddit and I saw how beloved she was. Like everyone in the community loved her.
Uh,
And I'm like, whoops.
I don't know if I'd say I love Lozelle, but she definitely had a lot. She was a big part of our story.
Yeah. Well, she's no longer a part of ours.
Right on. Someone
And
else will
the
be the
thing is,
star in your story.
yeah, and the thing is that the Tiflins wanted her dead. But after I killed her, again, an accident, I just wanted to take a
Hmm.
bite out of her. But anyway,
Hmm.
the Tiflings were mad because I killed her, even though they were gonna kill her in the first place. So we ended up killing the Tiflings too. Neither of them seemed to be like an important character. Also, I got Liesel's stuff, and there was a locket, and I felt bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Good
well
luck with
then,
that.
we did some adventuring. Oh, we found a guy called Gale.
George Michael.
Ah,
That's what we called him. He looks like
oh,
George Michael. He's a pretty boy.
he's a very boy. He has joined our main party, and also we recruited Astarion.
Yeah.
He replaced Shadowheart on the party, which maybe wasn't like the best idea because after we sent Shadowheart to the camp, my boyfriend said like, "But hey, we don't have a healer anymore." Wait, we did have one. Yeah, had Shadowheart like saved my bacon like 10 times already, and I was like, "Whoops!" Okay, but is she a sexy vampire? No? Okay. I rest my case.
Fucking Astarion.
Yeah.
The meme
So
lord.
we went to some ruins. We found like a hidden entrance in a hole. I just discovered like, oh yeah, right now the druid is able to transform into I think 5 animals.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, which is by far my favorite shape, is like a cat. You just have 2 HP, but you have amazing stealth mechanics, and you can meow to get the enemies out of the way, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
You have the wolf. The wolf inspires your allies and also hits like a truck. I haven't tried the butcher, but it seems the butcher can burrow or
Cool.
dig or stuff like that. There's a bear form, I guess, which I haven't tried out yet.
The owlbear. Yeah, that's like your tank, basically.
Yeah. And the one thing that I tried, I hated it, but it was also useful. It was like, hey, what does the spider do? It is a giant fucking spider. The stuff of
Yep.
nightmares. Okay, on a footnote, I'm afraid of spiders in real life. I have some degree of arachnophobia, and this spider
Mm-hmm.
just looks surreal, man. I wanted to puke like every second the thing was walking on screen. So I just used it to like go down this hole without taking damage because it apparently negates all fall damage or like
Cool.
has some kind of advantage on it. Whatever.
Mm.
And then I decided to transform into the cat. But anyway,
Nice. How's as a druid, how's your spike growth treating you as a spell?
I don't know. Like I'm just a level 2 man.
Because well, I think you get it fairly early on, but it basically makes like thorny spikes and stuff on the ground, so it makes it anyone who moves across it kind of takes damage. And
Ooh.
our druid in our party, basically that was like the bread and butter. Every time we entered a fight, it was like spike growth, and then we kind of fought them.
Wait, which branch of the druid is that on? Because I
I
got
don't
the
know. I'm
one
not sure to
that,
be honest.
yeah, I got the one that it was like the moon something something, and you're able to heal on your animal form.
Right. Yeah, I don't know honestly. So maybe yeah, it was on a different kind of sub branch. So
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, so I fell into the rains, or like I jumped into the rains pretty much. Open the door, roll initiative. My boyfriend was like, "Hey, wait for me," because it was like two against like a stupid amount of enemies.
nice.
Uh, he ended up jumping through the hole, ended up trampled, and rolled initiative in a very bad way. But we managed to survive that encounter, even though they downed us like 2 times. But everything is well and good. We just made him explode because we could. And then we went through another mini adventure, like on that temple thingy. Uh, Found a useful NPC character that allows you to revive party members, and I think that's where we left off. It's been kind of fun, not gonna lie. Like, even though I tried things that didn't work and that frustrated me, because when you're playing D&D, if you pretty much bullshit your way through an action, your DM will tell you, okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I cannot bullshit my way through an action here, like, and I understand it is because it is a computer game. But still, it's kind of like it looks like D&D, it plays like D&D. But there are things that don't work like the bullshittery of D&D, but you still can do bullshittery. You just don't,
Mm.
can't be very creative about it.
Well, the way I had to think about it was the game is your DM, which it basically is because it's setting all the rules and everything. And yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. In regular D&D, you can like bend the rules. You can totally change the rules if you've got a good argument and a good DM who can roll with it. But yeah, the game is very. It doesn't feel quite like Dungeons and Dragons, the tabletop, because of all those sorts of reasons where there's not even any like home brewing situations or anything, or you know, saying, well, this sounds cool and it should work, so we're just going to make it work. You're very much stuck to the rules of the game, which makes sense because it's a video game,
Yeah.
but yeah, makes it feel more like a video game.
Yeah, so with that in mind, like, keeping that in mind, everything is good. When I can try to get it, like, a little bit more creative, things don't always work. But okay, when they work, they work. So yeah.
And
Uh,
to be fair as well, just not to interrupt too much, but there is some good points in the game where you can it surprises you that you can be creative, and so keep trying stuff. I would say, because sometimes you can actually do things that do make sense, and the game lets you do it, and you're like, oh, cool, that's really good.
yeah, so the way we went through that battle uh, was by exploding like a barrel of explosives with a firebolt, and that was beautiful. Chef kiss. You always want to see that in a D&D game. Um, which on on some level it actually like made me happy that the game didn't like take too many liberties with some things, because last time I did firebolt and chromatic orb in a closed space that was a wooden shack. Well, we had to escape the wooden shack. So yeah, like there are things that are like, okay, that I guess, but there are things like were like, hey, I actually am thankful that the game did that the devs didn't think about this situation, because otherwise it would have ended badly.
Yeah.
So yeah, uh, it's been a lot of fun. Maybe we'll play more during this week, especially since, well, I still have like to take a test on Thursday, so I'll be pretty much dead until then. But during the weekend, we can continue playing Baldur's Gate. It is actually a very good shit. So yeah,
So are you guys playing like local co-op, or what kind of setup are you playing?
yeah, we're playing local co-op split screen
Okay.
on my boyfriend's computer. So yeah, that is our setup.
Yeah, cool. I imagine that would be much less buggy than our setup, which was internet based. So
I hope so, because otherwise I would be pissed,
yeah,
and you'll hear about it. But anyway,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah, I hope we can continue playing it soon, because, well, my boyfriend has been playing Elden Ring, and
Mm.
he is nearing, well, he was supposed to be nearing the end of the game, but he took a detour on an optional quest against Melania. And the thing is that on his adventure, I think he was playing against a boss, fighting against a boss, and his controller gave up on life, I guess.
Mm.
Okay, not like it broke, but one of the shoulder buttons broke. I think it was the left one, the top left one, yeah.
Right.
So I ended up having him borrow my controller. But the thing about it is that in Baldur's Gate, I think both of the players have to play with controller on local co-op. Maybe I'm
Oh,
wrong.
okay. Interesting.
Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what we ended up doing. So we hope that button isn't especially important, because otherwise we'll have to get a new controller before we continue playing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Cool.
and the button just, like, it broke and detached from the controller.
Also, it fell off.
Yeah, it just fell off, and it was like, well, I guess I can't use it anymore.
Damn. Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I've been playing. I'm sorry for monopolizing the time, but I had a lot to say.
No, you're right. I very much look forward to having played it. I look forward to hearing your Baldur's Gate adventures and who else you might kill along the way.
Whoops.
That's good. I know the exact scenario that you're talking about with the tieflings and Lae'zel. For the record, we couldn't talk our way out of it either. We had to fight them, but we
But you
didn't
killed
kill
the
Lae'zel.
Tiflins. You didn't. You didn't kill the
Yeah,
spells. So.
yeah, we didn't kill the
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 important
character
NPC
who was
character.
stuck in a cage.
I mean, she wasn't stuck in a cage when I beat her, but
Oh, okay.
that's besides the point.
Good.
Whoops.
No, but that's. I'm genuinely interested to hear how it goes for you, whether on the podcast or not, because it is that kind of everyone's experience will hopefully be a little bit different. So
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
yeah.
There, I still feel like I killed a very important NPC that I shouldn't have if I wanted to make my life easier.
I don't know about making your life easier, but there's definitely a lot of content that is very laser related. Just like other companions, there's like a lot of companion stuff that you can check out and do. So, I'd say also my other tip would just be look around everywhere, because some companions you have to like actually find in certain places. So I'm sure you know that anyway, but yeah. Some
Yeah,
of them are really good, and some of the harder to find ones are actually really good. So
beautiful. I'll keep my eye out for them.
yeah.
Well then, why don't we go to our discussion topic of the week? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think like the main theme was about how we like games to be monetized, or like what kind of, I guess, monetization we consume or something like that, because it just says subscription versus free versus purchase. That's all I get from that.
Yeah, it's basically like the different ways that you can access games and or pay for them,
Yeah,
and just the ups and downs of those sorts of things. Because personally, I don't think any one of them is like the only way it should be. Like, I think the combination of having, one-time purchase games, or games that are on subscription services, or games that are just free or free to play, like free with microtransactions or something. I think they all have
yeah.
their place, and they all have good things about them, each model. But then obviously there's, bad things about each one as well, and exploitable things about each model as well.
I don't know. There's just one model that I don't like, and you'll hear my opinion on that one, but in a bit.
Yeah, so we thought we'd just have a little discussion about it, and talk about our own experiences and opinions, things we like and don't like about each thing. And yeah, maybe if anyone from the community has something else to add as well, that would be good to hear about as always. So let's start with subscription services and those sorts of things. So by that, we're talking about, your Xbox Game Pass, your PlayStation Plus, even things like Humble Choice, which is a monthly subscription, maybe Patreon subscriptions, or Nintendo's thing that they have that Paula knows more about than I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, why don't you kick us off, Paula, and tell us what that Nintendo thing is and what you think about it as well.
Okay, first of all, Nintendo has decided to, well, a long time ago, Nintendo decided that they would do their Nintendo Switch Online service.
That's it.
And this is a kind of like a funny thing, because prior to the Switch on the Wii U and 3DS, people were talking about how, uh, and I heard it a lot, that they were tired of buying the Virtual Console games that were like the old games adapted to the newer systems over and over again. And some even said, hey, I would pay if they made a subscription service on it. What did Nintendo do? They made NSO.
They went for
So,
money.
yeah. So NSO has two tiers at the moment: the classic or slash basic tier, which if you're paying alone, it is $20 a year,
Mm-hmm.
and it also allows you to play online. Or the expansion pack, named after the expansion pack on the Nintendo 64. Funnily enough, that one I do not remember how much it costs if you're paying alone. The advantage, though, is that you can have a family group and pay as a family group. So for the classic one, it is $32 for 8 people. So about
Right.
$4 each for an
Mm-hmm.
entire year. And I don't remember like the price in dollars, but I think for the expansion pack, it runs up to like $8, $8 to $9 or something like that per person per year if you have like a full family group.
Mm-hmm.
Which it isn't bad, especially by what it offers. But if you want to, if you were playing like alone, maybe it isn't like that worth that much.
Yeah.
So on the main system, like on the main NSO subscription, you get to play NES games, SNES games, Game Boy games, and I think there was like a Sega system added to it, but I don't remember.
Damn.
Uh, or was that an expansion pack? Okay, those are like
Blasphemy.
the three important things. I think there was a fourth one, but I don't remember. Um, on the expansion pack, you have all the above plus Nintendo 64 games. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
have received like an online update or like an online patch, so you can still play like couch co-op games, but with people over the internet, which is very nice.
Mm.
That one was very buggy when it first came out, but now it seems it is the thing it was supposed to be in the first place. And you also get the GBA games as well.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, checking really quickly because I know uh, I might have screwed something up. Oh no! For the classic one, it was like just the three systems, and the expansion pack, which is $50 a year for an individual and about 80 for a family. You get come on, Nintendo, like stupid page, load properly. Okay, so not only you get like Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Advance games, you also get access to some of the games DLC, like some first party Nintendo games DLC without having to pay for it. So, for
Right.
example, for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which by the way, if you play a lot of it, you already like buy a subscription for it
Okay.
to play online. You get the Booster Course Pass, which is essentially another Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Because if I remember correctly, it adds 8 uh, courses, and those have 4 tracks each. So you get a total of 32 extra tracks. For Animal Crossing
Nice.
New Horizons, you get the DLC of Happy Home Paradise, which is an entire island to decorate, but just the homes. You don't get to decorate the island; you just get to decorate the homes, and you get like a
Right.
stupid amount of furniture to play with. If you have Explosion 2, you also get the Octo expansion. I don't know what that's about. And and you also get like the Sega Genesis library of games too. So yeah.
Crazy.
Overall, I still feel like if you're just by yourself, the price is a little bit too much for what by what it offers.
Yeah.
Like, um,
Do you get any new games on Nintendo subscription?
you don't do not get like any new games. You just get like the classic stuff or the
Yep.
things that used to be on Virtual Console.
Yeah. Cool.
Plus DLC for some select games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds expensive to me. Not just because I don't
Yeah,
play Nintendo, but just in general. Like,
yeah. Like the $20 tier, I could vibe it, but $50
yeah, it's crazy.
for especially like for the Nintendo 64 thing, which didn't work properly when it launched. That was kind of like a ripoff, if you ask me. So yeah, I'm on the classic program with a family group, so I don't pay much yearly. I do play from time to time some of the for some games from like the classics library. And also, if you have like a Japanese account, you can download the Japanese launcher for this for the emulator, pretty much,
Hmm.
and you can access from your account the Famicom games too. So, like from the paid account, you can also get the Famicom games too without having to pay like for a second thingy.
Cool.
That is NSO, and in my opinion, is one of the lowest worth subscriptions. You just really pay it for it to play online,
Yeah.
unless you really, really want to play those old games. Because otherwise, if you said like, "Hey, I want to play the Animal Crossing DLC," it isn't worth it, dude. Just pay the DLC separate. You have a better time,
Yeah,
and you pay
exactly. Yeah.
less. So yeah, I
Well, good
have
to
to
know.
say, you have PS Plus there.
I
I
do.
know PlayStation has more tiers than what I can count. I don't understand how it works, so enlighten me.
So yeah, just for the record, I personally subscribe to Game Pass, PS Plus, and Humble Choice. Although Humble Choice, you can kind of choose each month whether you want to pay it or not.
Yeah.
So you can like opt out for a month and then come back in the next month, depending on what. Once you see the games that you're going to get, which I think is very consumer friendly as a
Mm-hmm.
subscription thing. Not that we're talking about that at the moment, but the fact that you can basically just pick and choose and you're not locked into a contract is pretty cool in my book. But PlayStation Plus, basically, you need it to play online now. They famously, PlayStation and Sony were like the last big of the ones of the consoles to make you pay for online play. It was a big thing during, I think, the PS3 era where they paid everyone else out for having to pay for it and they just did it
Yeah.
for free. But, they eventually came on board because they went, money. And to be fair, though, I kind of like their model, not as much as Microsoft to be at the end of the day, but I think they're pretty good. So they've got 3 tiers. They've got the basic tier, which is, I think, significantly cheaper. Like maybe, I want to say like in Australian dollars anyway, it's about $5 a month cheaper than the one I pay for, which is the middle tier, which is about $16 a month. It's the same as Netflix kind of thing is here. And so yeah, the basic tier though is what PlayStation Plus used to be before they brought in the tier system, where you pay your monthly fee, you get to play online, but you also get usually about 3, maybe 4 games given to you as part of your subscription as well each month. And they're usually decent games, I think. Like there's usually maybe one that's pretty new and then a couple which are kind of new, like in the last few months, and decent kind of quality releases for the most part. The caveat being, much like Game Pass and other things, you have to have an active PlayStation Plus subscription to play those games. So they
Yeah.
stay in your library forever, but you can only play them if you have an active subscription, which I actually don't know how I feel about that. I don't think I feel either way about that kind of requirement because whatever. But
That kind of like irks me a little bit because like it's not like the Game Pass library where you have access to everything. As long as you have like a subscription, that makes sense because it is pretty much like Netflix. It's more like you pay for PS Plus. You said you're giving like 2 to 3 games for free, but to access them, you still have to be paying. So
yeah, it's more like Games with Gold was for Microsoft, which they've gotten rid of now.
yeah,
Where before they had their like Game Pass system, they had Games with Gold, and you'd get games each month or whatever frequency it was as part of your subscription for that. But I believe, I could be wrong, someone will have to correct me because I'm not 100% sure, but I believe they had the same thing where if you didn't have an active subscription, you couldn't play the games. You
yeah,
had
I
them in
think
your
that was it.
account because it's all tied to like the licensing and, the way that if you're paying for the subscription, you're paying for the license for that game, so on and so forth. I don't know, whatever. But that's the
Yeah,
basic
but
tier.
yeah, but like compared to Humble Choice and to Patreon, because I'm like on Suckpop's Patreon page.
Same,
You
yeah.
pay for the Patreon, you get your games, and the games are yours. You don't have to continue paying for the Patreon. So it's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
feels odd in a way for that basic tier for PS Plus.
Well, I think because in that sense, PlayStation are just trying to emulate, compete with Microsoft essentially.
Yeah.
Because more recently, in the last, couple of years, I can't remember exactly when, they brought in a whole tier thing where you now have, I think the middle tier is called PlayStation Plus Essential.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one I subscribe to. And then for a few bucks more, there's PlayStation Plus Deluxe. Or
Yeah.
no, Essential's the basic one, and then I think Extra is the middle one, and then Deluxe is the top one. So Deluxe is only a little bit more than the middle one, but for the middle one, you get the monthly games as well. You get to play online, but you also get access to a library of games, much like Game Pass, which are basically available at all times for you to download and play. And they're mostly from the kind of PS4 to PS5 era.
Yeah.
Last couple of generations. And there's, this is where we can talk about comparing PlayStation with Game Pass a bit, because you have to pay for the deluxe to get brand new games and really big games. And even then, sometimes it's just a trial of that game. It's not really a full on access to the whole game.
Yeah, that's the other thing, that you pay for for playing the demo. That was the strangest thing I've seen.
Yeah, you can get like early access to things as well in the deluxe tier, because you might be able to play like the new God of War like a month early, but you can only play a trial of it, kind of thing. So, that's cool in a way, but it's not something I'm personally interested in. But the main difference with the deluxe tier is you get a lot of retro game catalogs. So you get PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 games that you can download and play as well. And that's the main difference between the two tiers.
Yeah, I think that's the one my sister has, because we played the PS1 games on it.
Yeah. So
The
you can't get
PS2
them on
games
the
you
middle
have
tier,
to, the PS2 games you have to stream though, if I remember correctly.
I don't think that's the case here, because they wouldn't work if you tried to do that here.
I don't know.
No, that's all right. But the other thing that you get on the deluxe tier, like I say, is sometimes it's very good for like first party stuff or PlayStation exclusives. Most of the time, PlayStation exclusives will go on PS Plus and will be part of the PS Plus library, which I think is cool, because it's the least they can do, really. Much like Game Pass as well, they put all their first party stuff on Game Pass pretty quickly. However, to pivot a bit to Game Pass, one thing, I've now had PlayStation Plus Extra and Game Pass Ultimate for the last, I don't know, I want to say like 3 years or so. Maybe since COVID kind of hit a few years ago. I don't know.
Probably.
But having had them for a while now, I have to say that I think Game Pass is the better deal.
Definitely.
They're both about the same price. So cost-wise, it doesn't really make that much difference. They're like a few dollars difference. I think Game Pass is a little bit more expensive here as well. But, well, there's some caveats, because Game Pass adds things to their catalog a lot more frequently and to their library of games that you have, but they also take things off more frequently, because with PlayStation Plus, most of the stuff that gets added to the library kind of stays there, and very rarely things get taken off. It's usually only like brand new things that have like a timed exclusive or a timed kind of presence on Game Pass. Like Stray came out and it was immediately onto Game Pass. Onto PlayStation Plus.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was taken off a few months later.
Oh.
So it was obviously a timed deal that they had. Whereas fewer things kind of get added to PlayStation Plus compared to Game Pass. Like, there's still lots of stuff that gets added, but it tends to stay there much, much longer and almost indefinitely in most cases, compared to Game Pass, where things are always coming on and off all the time and the library is constantly changing. So if you're not quick, you can miss out on some things that get put on there. So, it's worth paying attention. However, the reason I think Game Pass is perhaps a better deal, or it's basically something I use a lot more, is Microsoft appears to be putting heaps more money into securing those kind of like day one release games. And they seem to be focusing a lot on acquiring a lot more little indie games as well. Like recently I played Harold Halibut on there, which I spoke about last week. Just weird little claymation point and click game. They always put on like all the Annapurna games tend to end up on there at some point. And, as well as bigger titles as well, like the recent Lords of the Fallen just got put onto Game Pass, which, is debatably exciting, but it's a big game regardless. Obviously, they paid a lot of money to get Starfield on their day one. And, there was that leaked document, I think, last year or the year before, where it showed some of the deals that they were making for exclusivity and getting games onto Game Pass. And I think Starfield was something like, there was a bit in the document that said that they'd paid millions of dollars basically to Bethesda to have it on Game Pass day one.
Holy crap.
So, Microsoft definitely investing into putting things on there, as in my opinion they should, because with shitloads of people paying you, if you're in Australia at least it's $18 I think a month of their money, you
Wow.
can probably afford to do that.
It's funny because, I'm not playing Ultimate. I'm just playing the PC version, and it's around $6-7 a month here, even if you
Yeah.
just pay monthly.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I'm sure it's, again, like anything, it's all relative as well. Like Netflix here is about $17 a month at the moment, and I think it's about to go up again. And
Yeah, I think Netflix is more in line with what everyone else has.
I know Amazon Prime here is about $10 a month, like for the whole Amazon Prime thing, like shipping and everything.
Oh no, $15 a month here. So yeah, we're fucked.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it's much for muchness really, but yeah, the other thing with Game Pass I find is, like you just mentioned, there's now that everything on Game Pass kind of comes to PC as well. To me, that adds more value because some things I want to play on console, some things I want to play on PC. So, I don't like playing certain types of games on console. So there are some games that come onto PlayStation Plus that I don't play, and if it comes onto Game Pass on PC, I'll choose to play it there instead, even though I've got it on both. But maybe I want to use mouse and keyboard or something and play it on my PC. So, but like we mentioned as well, I do think though the better deal out of all those ones we've mentioned is like Humble Choice or a good Patreon that has reasonable tiers and that sort of thing, or something to that similar kind of effect. Because yeah, Humble Choice I've been a subscriber of since it wasn't originally called Choice. It was called like Humble Monthly or something just simple
Monthly,
like
yeah.
that. And they used to give you more games. So they have tightened it up a bit. You used to get, I think, 12 games, and now you get 8 or 10 or something. So it's not too different. And you've got to kind of like their games. Like most of the games they put on there are, half of them are usually weird indie stuff that you've never heard of and you may or may not like. Well, for me anyway. But they usually have at least one or two who are worth more than the subscription price kind of thing. Like they'll throw in if you were going to buy it, it might be like a $50 game, but they'll throw it onto Humble Choice, even if it's like 6 months old or something or whatever. It's still relatively new and large. So I do think Humble Choice is the best deal going around, personally.
Definitely. And also you help charity, which is nice.
Yeah, a portion of it goes to charity, which is always fun. So
But yeah, I'm thinking about Game Pass because well, in general, I think Microsoft has been working more on trying to get either their services in every single country they can touch. While PlayStation, funnily enough, uh, I don't know if you remember that debacle about, was it like World God of War? Like they put like a game on Steam, and after a while, I don't remember which game it was, but
Holdovers
they
too.
said that you needed like a PS Plus account, no PS account, to play it on Steam, which is bullshit. And they changed it
Yeah.
many months into the game being released.
Yeah, Helldivers 2 was the one, and it was the hot shit until they did that, and then everyone stopped playing it, funnily enough.
Yeah, and the thing is that the PlayStation account system isn't available in every country. In fact, it is not available in about 100 countries or something like that.
Yeah, right. Weird.
So by doing that, they're pretty much like cutting out a huge part of their consumer base, which is stupid. Game
Yeah,
Pass, well,
I think
Xbox,
Sony very much don't play nice with others.
yeah. Xbox, on the other hand, they do put their games on Steam, but they don't require you to do the stupid thing. But if you pay for Game Pass, you use their app, which is, well,
Shit.
understandable. But at the same time, they make sure that Game Pass is available in as many countries as possible. Like even like their consoles, they do sell them at a loss on some countries because they
Mm,
want to make the platform for their subscription
yeah, totally.
available to everyone, so everyone pays more to them. So in that regard, even like that one practice of having like their service available is in as many countries as possible, has a leg up on the competition, both in PlayStation, sorry, Sony and Nintendo. Because, for example, the Nintendo eShop on Chile is cheap. You don't
Hmm.
have a lot of games there. And also, the prices aren't always like cheaper than on the American account. So, at the end of the day, I just have an American account and get access to the whole catalog because my country doesn't have that.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Well, and I think the big downside to subscriptions is, other than what we've touched on, where you don't quote unquote own the game because you're just buying a license to play it.
yeah.
That doesn't bother me. Like, once I'm done playing a game, chances are I'm not going to play it again. So I don't really care if I own it or not. If I've
Same like,
had access to it and played it.
yeah, like in my case, like I don't care. Like, if I want to play a game repeatedly, I just buy the game.
Yeah, totally. And I get that, being at the whims of what they choose to put on there or when they choose to take it off might not be to everyone's cup of tea as well. And I think the big difference for me with subscriptions is it's going to be, the value is going to be different to everybody depending on how much you use it and how much you can afford to spend as well.
Yeah,
So I don't like the way that they're all trying to make everybody get on the same subscription, because I play a lot of games. I feel like I get my money's worth
yeah,
out of the subscriptions that I pay for. I also only pay for subscriptions that I can afford. And, thankfully I can afford a few of them. So good on me, whatever. But I appreciate a lot of other people probably can't. And a lot of other people may not play as many games. So if you only get through one or two games a month, you might not want to pay a full on subscription to get access to 1,000 games that you're never going to play.
yeah.
So you should always have options, I believe, even if subscriptions is just one of them. So, whereas I definitely get my money's worth out of my subscriptions because, yeah, I play enough games from them that if I looked at the money I would have spent if I'd bought those games, I definitely would have spent more than my subscription cost. So,
True. The one thing that I don't like about subscriptions is that the niche shit that I like it ain't there, so I still have to buy the games.
yeah.
Not
Well,
all
and
my games.
interestingly, though, one of the things I do like about Game Pass being that they put a few more kind of indie, quote unquote, smaller games on their their subscription. I've actually found and played a bunch of games that I might not have otherwise played because
That
they're
is
on
true.
Game Pass. Because I'm already paying for the subscription, so I'm more likely to try a game if it's on there. So there's
That
been some
is
little
very
games that
true.
there's been some little games that I've picked up and played and really enjoyed, but maybe I wouldn't have if they hadn't come onto Game Pass. So,
Yeah,
you
other
know,
will be still running on that Steam wishlist.
yeah, exactly. Well, Chance of Senna, which I played recently, is one of them. I did have it on my Steam wishlist, but I was waiting for a sale. But it came onto Game Pass. I played it. I loved it. I thought it was great. And that was that. So I've managed to tell everyone else about it as well and say, hey, this is a great game. Like, you should go play it. Whereas it was sitting on my Steam wishlist for who knows how long. And yeah, not really moving. So, I think there's ups and downs, but it depends on subscriptions, especially will depend on, the kind of person you are and your own situation, like how much money you've got and how much time you've got, how many games you get through, all that sort of thing. So yeah, they're definitely a double-edged sword depending on who you are and what your needs are.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the next tier. Well, technically two tiers, but in my opinion, there are two tiers, but it feels like you were thinking
Yeah.
they were one. So we have like free games that are like completely free usually, or like the
Mm.
free to play games
Mm.
that you can either start free or like play it for free, but there are things you can unlock if you pay. And we have like a whole spectrum of them.
Hmm.
So, well, for the free games, you usually can get like free games either like on Steam or at HIO, and they're like usually smaller games that are either experimental, passion projects, game jam games, etc.
Yeah.
And I play some very good free games. I play some very bad free games. But the one thing that goes through all of these free games that are like completely free, no fine print in the contract, is that they really show either like the personality of the developer or like what the developer likes, such as Cecile Richards games, which are uh, kind of like poems in a way more than games,
Hmm.
or like some kind of I don't know, reflection time, or like thinking about things time. Uh, on the other hand, you have things like oh, what was that handshake game called? Not like the one where you are a 3D model like giving handshakes to people. The one where you have to put like the two hands together through the maze. Well, you get some weird shit, and that weird shit is awesome.
Yeah, for me, I think there's two types of free games. There's the good type, which are usually developers who are trying something out, or just generally making something that they don't feel is has enough scope or whatever to actually charge for it. So they just kind of put it out there to see what people think, or that sort of thing. And then there's the free games, which are just shit and getting people to buy like Steam trading cards and that sort of thing, which you could say
Yeah.
is perhaps free to play, but either way.
There's actually that banana game now that I think about
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
that's a classic one that just came out recently, that fucking banana clicker game, which has a whole bunch of workshop items that people are ravenously trading with each other and paying real money for. And of course, the dev gets a cut of everything, so good on them. Whatever. But that sort of shit, I have no interest in. However, I'm as a gaming enthusiast, like we all are, and everyone who probably listens to this podcast is, you know, looking at itch and finding odd little free games and saying, what's that about? And playing it for 20 minutes and going, that was cool, or wow, that was weird and shit, or whatever.
Or that
That's
was a
actually a
thing.
lot of fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's actually kind of the point, and that's a lot of fun to kind of go, wow, someone actually tried that idea and it didn't work, but that was cool, or it did work and wow, I want to see more of that, or
That's kind of like one of the reasons why I like the 13 days of each mass thing that we do in the How Long to Eat Forums, because you discover like some
yeah,
very weird shit. And it is amazing
absolutely.
because you get to talk about it with everyone.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the fun of when you're a gaming community like we are, who obviously are more interested than perhaps your mainstream casual gamer. So we like finding little things like that are cool, or unknown, and kind of going, wow, that's really different to the multitude of other games I've played.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. So yeah, I really like that kind of stuff too.
And the other free thing tier is the free to play. And
Mm,
then you have all kinds of things, because most of them are treated as games as a service.
yep.
So you have the base game with ongoing content being added to it every now and then. And you usually get updates on the game, and you're able to purchase things on the game, either things that affect your gameplay, gacha stuff, or um, skins, things that are more cosmetic.
Mm,
The cosmetic things I can forgive, though I have to
yeah.
say some games do like to charge for those a fair a fair bit of change, like Pokemon Unite. Like, holy crap, I've never seen like skins that are so fucking expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Uh,
Then you have Genshin Impact, which has a gacha system that I still don't know why the fuck that is there, because it makes no sense whatsoever for the story. and Honkai Star Rail too. And you can get currency to pretty much throw more gacha because you get like these free crystals on your playthrough, like by daily missions, which I hate, by finding stuff in the world, which is kind of nice, and by doing repetitive things that I didn't like.
Hmm.
But you can, and the thing is that they have limited time banners, and that's what they're called. So each time they release a new character or a set of new characters, you have a limited time to acquire it through the banner, and you pretty much have to uh, throw the dice until you get one or cry in a corner because you didn't get it. It does have a pity system. You have to roll 100 times to guarantee that 5 star shining. And it's
Yeah.
still the first time you roll on that banner, you get like a 50-50 chance that it is actually the character from the banner. If you lose the roll, the next time is guaranteed. But
Mm,
those are a lot of crystals, man. And still, it doesn't make sense to the game to have the characters be acquired that way, which is stupid. But
I
yeah,
agree.
sorry. That is the one thing that put me off Genshin Impact when I first started playing it. That and the fact
Mm,
that you can't play the game from beginning to end. You have to wait. You have areas that are locked by level, which is like, why just let me try to get that to that area and die in the process? I'll learn, I swear.
yep.
So in that regard, like that model of monetization really irks me the wrong way because they're pretty much selling you waifus and husbandos, and yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, I agree
Um,
completely. I think the worst aspects of free to play are the ones that kind of have come over from mobile, where
yeah, because like,
it's the
okay,
gambling aspect. Yeah.
yeah, okay. I have a word to say because as much as I dislike the system that Genshin Impact has, you do not have a multiplayer aspect to it or like a ladder system. Well, you also can pay like for like a monthly pass to get like a second reward for each level you achieve, but whatever. But in the FIFA, well, not FIFA mobile game, the you get players from the gacha machine.
Yep.
How is that not gambling? And also, the players matter. Like you play against other people there. How is not that unfair? I mean, you
Yeah.
have a
It's literally
market,
pay to
but
win.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is pay to win. I hate it. We
Yeah. And I agree completely. And I think like I've tried Genshin Impact and some other games as well, but as soon as those, I actually quite liked Genshin Impact. I thought it was a well put together game, except as soon as the free to play monetization stuff kind of raises its ugly head, it just kills it completely for me. As soon as you show me an ad for something or ask me for money, and try and get my money to progress in a game, free or otherwise, I don't care. It just kind of I'll bounce real quick. Put it that way. Um,
yeah,
but I'm
definitely.
also the kind of guy who I ad block the entire internet because I hate advertising. As soon as I see an ad anywhere, I'm like, oh god, and I'll bounce pretty quick as well. So I would rather, but this is where to counter that, I also don't mind microtransactions when they're not forced upon you, or when they're
Yeah.
not, the game isn't designed in a way that makes you kind of want whatever it is that they're offering. So, you know, those games that are really grindy unless you buy the XP boost pack or whatever. Or you can't unlock these characters. Well, you could if you spent 300 hours playing the game, but otherwise you can spend $20 and get them straight away, or that kind of shit. Whereas to put a counter argument on that, I used to play a lot of free to play MMOs who also have a lot of microtransactions and are some of them very good, some of them very, very bad. But one of my favorite ones that I played was just a weird freaking one called Terra, which people might have heard of, Tera. And that one's great because it's entirely free. It's a little bit grindy, but only in the way that MMOs are grindy, not because it's free. Like it's as grindy as World of Warcraft, which you pay for.
Yeah, definitely.
So, that's fine. And all of their microtransactions, they do have like level boosters and all that kind of thing, but the vast majority are cosmetics, like cool clothing for your characters and playing Fashion Souls kind of thing, or extra character slots for you can play additional characters and that sort of thing. So I think for free you get like 3 character slots, so you can play 3 different classes or whatever. But then you can buy extra ones, and that's actually something I did spend money on because I spent like 400 hours in this game or something. So after I'd played through a few classes and kind of exhausted all of what you can do with them, I thought, yeah, I'll pay however much it was. I think it was not heaps. It was like $10 or something to unlock another like 2 or 3 slots, which then gave me another, 150 hours of gameplay, playing as a different class with different weapons and having a different story and all that kind of thing. So another one that does it in a very different way is Guild Wars 2, which you buy straight out. You pay your $60 or however much to buy the game, but then it doesn't charge you a monthly subscription in the way that Final Fantasy does or World of Warcraft does. It just lets you play it, and you can play it 100% for no extra money, just the money you put up front, and that's it. There are some microtransactions in there for cosmetic stuff. Again, nothing that'll break the game, nothing that'll make you win the game, but you might have a funny mount or something that you can purchase for some extra money. And that's another game that I spent hundreds and hundreds of hours in, and ended up spend about $20-30 on just some random shit, because I felt like I had already gotten the value, so I was happy to spend the money, as opposed to something like Genshin Impact, where you get to a point where you haven't gotten any value yet, but they're
Yeah.
promising you value and saying, hey, spend money and we'll give you the value. And I'm like, no. You've done that the wrong way around.
Yeah.
Like,
Pretty much.
give me the good stuff first. Get me hooked. Make me love the game. And then ask me for some money, and I'll be like, yeah, you know what? I'll throw you some beans. That'll be all right. You've already given me a good time.
Definitely. Like, in that regard, like, so my boyfriend is playing this MMO that is free to play called Lost Ark.
Yes, I
It,
played that for a bit as well.
so, the thing about Lost Ark is that, um, well, to start playing like multiplayer stuff, you need people. But since the game is old and new players haven't come to the game, you cannot do the multiplayer stuff that is like early in the game. What was
Mm.
the Lost Ark way to do things was pretty much making a system. Every few months, they make this thing called the Mokoko Pass Express kind of thing, something like that, where you're able to level up a single character that you may just have created and pretty much skip the story up until pretty much when you can do multiplayer.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting because like well, in that case it is free, but normally if you want to level up another character, for example, you would need to pay to not play the
Mm-hmm.
game and then play the game. And it's kind of it baffles me in a way because um like, okay, it is free to play, but it is still telling you to pay if you want to do access the cool shit right away. Because I
Mm.
played that for a bit and it was so excruciatingly grindy, like even more grindy than World of Warcraft, in my opinion. And
Mm.
it was kind of like mindless. You just went through from A to B. And the other thing that kind of bothers me is that you can pay like for a pass or something, or a mini subscription kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives you actual quality of life things.
Yeah.
Like you can have a pet, but for free. But if you pay, that pet becomes pretty much your shortcut to the bank, to the forge, to pretty much everywhere. and you don't
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
go to those places. And I'm like, but that's kind of messed up. So yeah, the things that I don't mind is like the skins you can pay for, but because they don't affect gameplay, you're not like obligated to buy those because they're
Mm,
just skins. They don't affect gameplay. But when they put quality of life things behind a paywall, when they pay you, when they tell you that the game is free to play, but you have to pay to get to the cool stuff, that's when it sits with me like in the wrong way. The cool part is that they have this system where you can technically do it for free if you
mm.
join at a certain time where you know the people are gonna be joining because the system is designed to do that. But still, it kind of feels
Yeah.
wrong.
Well, again, I'd say Guild Wars 2 is a great example of how to do it right because I know people play MMOs for different reasons. Like, I don't play it much for the multiplayer, which
Yeah.
might sound really weird, but I know other people only play it, to get to max level and start raiding and, doing dungeons and stuff with a bunch of other people. So for those people, I think it was Guild Wars 2 did this thing where after they brought out their first expansion pack, anytime you made a new character, you got an item which would level you to the max level for pre that expansion pack. So for the first vanilla portion of the game. So if it was Warcraft, because that's the one I remember the most, it would have like leveled you to 60 straight away so that you can just get into that kind of new content where all the players are.
Yeah.
So however, it doesn't stop you from playing the rest of the game. Like, you can still just play through the rest of the game and not be bothered, and nothing else is really cut off from you. There might be some dungeons or something, like you say, where you maybe can't access them because you don't have enough party members or whatever, but they're not essential to get through that part of the game.
Yeah.
So, you're never stopped or blocked or anything. You just might have to go about it a different way, or, look elsewhere to gain that bit of XP or whatever. And I think that's really good because they just basically give you options, which I think is the best
Which
thing.
is beautiful. Yeah. The best thing.
Yeah. And yeah, like you say as well, nothing you can buy like breaks the game. So you're not missing out on things if you don't spend any money, really. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's always good.
Uh, Another good example of, I guess, microtransactions or not so microtransactions on Right is League of Legends. Because even though I've talked about the game and how it is accessible, uh, you can buy skins for your favorite characters, and they not only work, they are gorgeous. Some of them have like special effects, and they're like just really cool, and it's just a little thing that makes you happy. They do nothing with the gameplay, so that is good.
Yeah,
My boyfriend is playing Valorant, and he has pretty much put a skin for almost every weapon that he has. But
nice.
they're like cool as shit. But they are expensive though. Like, it still baffles me that they're expensive, given that it is just a skin for the one weapon.
Yeah,
Though some have like special animations, and you can do funny shit with it. It's still like, okay, I guess if you play every day and that's your favorite weapon, it is a nice thing to have. But as someone who doesn't play free to play stuff, I don't get it.
yeah. And that's what for me, and I do also appreciate that I'm the kind of person that no matter how much a game tries to like con me into buying something, I'm not going to buy it unless I want to. Like, I'm not saying I don't get influenced or anything, because I'm sure I do, but I'm less likely to just buy it because I don't have any FOMO for, the skins that everyone else is hot on. If I can still shoot them with the same gun, I don't really care. But
Yeah.
unless I'm really enjoying myself and I think, yeah, I'll throw $5 on that, and that'll make me look cool. But I appreciate that other people, and I'm not talking about your boyfriend here or anything, just made me think about it. Especially younger people, like kids, are probably more impressionable, and even if it's not essential to, like Counter-Strike skins and stuff don't change gameplay, but they're obviously hot properties that everyone trades and spends loads of money on. And that's cool if you're like, if that's like your game and you want to like deck yourself out really cool and everything. But I don't think it's cool when you're some kid who just wants to be, you know, look special and you don't have any money, but you're going to give the game your money anyway. And then you'll probably bounce in a year because you'll go play some more Minecraft or something.
Yeah.
And, you know, that I think is a bit more predatory and trying to con people into spending money they don't need to spend. And I hate that shit with a passion.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
the only thing worse is when they put microtransactions into single player games
Oh, that's stupid.
that you've already bought outright, I should say. Not free to play games, but, you know, full cost, like Assassin's Creed. I love the Assassin's Creed series, but fuck them because at some point in the series, they realized that they could charge people like $5 to basically unlock all the hidden items on the map and just show them on the map. And that's all it is.
Why?
There's a bit of DLC you can get for most of the new Assassin's Creed games. It basically saves you time because you don't have to Google it and you don't have to actually go look around in the game to find all the hidden items, which, you know, I might argue is part of the game. So you kind of shoot yourself in the foot if you buy that stuff. But
Yeah.
it's a
Uh,
single player game. I already paid top dollar for it. And you're going to charge me $5 DLC to like add some icons to my map? You got to be fucking crazy. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Like I get like games that is like, hey, people like this game. Let's make some DLC, or we have some DLC like extra story and extra map and extra something.
Yeah, right on.
I can understand that, but
Yeah.
why? Why or why?
And that's
Why
where to me it
the?
is just a cash grab. Like like you
Yeah,
mean we can
like
charge people for this and they'll give us their money? Yeah. Oh, cool. Let's do that.
yeah, but for example, like Atlas has been kind of greedy like in the last few years. So, for example, Persona 5, they have day one DLC. What do they offer? Oh, you can have skins for your characters, or you can have this demon from another game. And it's like, why? Why would you do this? Like,
Yeah.
you already have it ready. Why don't you include it in the game, you bastards? And the
Yeah.
other thing that really rubbed me the wrong way was when they released Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. Like
Right.
the original game had, or like one version of the game had like the option to play Dante from Devil May Cry, I think.
Uh-huh.
Or am I? Well, you were able to play as another character from another game, and that was like in the game. You play the game. You get the campaign with the original character and the other character, and you're happy. You just bought the game. Why
Yeah.
on earth, with the remake that already cost $60, I think, you have
Mm-hmm.
to pay extra to pay to have the other character? Why are
Well, and
you?
that's where I think DLC is its own thing as well, because I don't know if you remember, but when I played Mortal Kombat 11 recently,
Mhm.
there were some characters. One of the things I didn't like about it was there were some characters that were locked out and you had to buy DLC to have on the roster. But they were
Yeah.
the kind of characters that are central Mortal Kombat characters that you should have had anyway, in my opinion. And they
Mhm.
should have been in the base game. Because I'm all for, yeah, you DLC for extra characters, like funny ones as well, like Freddy Krueger or the Terminator or whoever. But, or even like weird ones who aren't core kind of characters for the series. That's cool. I'm all for that being DLC. But when they lock out people like Sindel, who's pretty central to the Mortal Kombat universe, and Nightwolf, and some of these like classic characters that we've played as in many, many games. But no, you got to buy DLC in this one if you want to play as them. It's like, excuse me?
Yeah,
I think you
and
made a mistake there.
yeah, and if you compare it to either to other, I'm gonna say some party and some fighting party games, I guess, like Super Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Like on Super Smash Bros. Wii U, you were able to buy some additional characters, which are available when you play Super Smash Bros. Characters Ultimate.
Mm.
They and only the ones they added that are completely new, that they haven't been on the series before, those are the ones that get the DLC treatment.
Right.
And I'm fine
Yeah.
with that because the game already has like 80 characters, for fuck's sake.
Or more just, I'm all for even having to unlock things. Like going back to the Assassin's Creed thing. Yeah, you can pay $5 to unlock all the hidden shit on your map. But I've already bought the game for full price. So make it an expensive in-game currency thing if you want.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, it'll take a while to get and you've got to put in a bit of effort and play the game to actually get it, like a lot of other things in the game. That's cool. But you don't have to just give it to me. But charging me more cash for something like that is just, nah, sorry.
No.
That's ridiculous. That's taking the piss.
Yeah. It's
But yeah.
just sad. Like, you didn't have like the option to unlock it in game, like, without paying for it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is the kind of thing that not everyone would want to unlock anyway, but so give me the option, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what else to say about it other than that's just stupid. But
Yeah.
but I think the shortest kind of category that we can talk about, which is the final one that we've got here, is just games that you pay for kind of outright. You buy the game, you get the game, you play the game, you do what you want with it. See you later.
Alligator.
I actually think that's the best business model out of all of these, to be fair.
Yeah, I love this business model, especially if you have the complete game on a disc or a cartridge.
Yeah, well, there is that thing of ownership as well. Like, you know, do we technically own all of our Steam library and because we're buying a license, we're not buying the actual code of the game or whatever. I don't know, however it works out. I think that's another discussion for another day. But ultimately, I think, you know, I like the one-time purchase because you know exactly what you're getting most of the time. As in, you can kind of make a judgment of, do I think this is too expensive for this game, or do I think it's okay, or do I want to spend that much money, or am I going to wait for a sale, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. And this is where I think Steam is actually very user-friendly because all the review system and everything and the discussion forums for every game, there's so many opportunities for other players to tell you that it's not worth your time or money that
Yeah.
I
And
think
if
that's actually a very good part of Steam's service. Sorry.
yeah, and if there's a case of you buying the game and they're not enjoying it like on the first hour or like something like triggering you or whatever, or even just the game not running on your PC because sometimes
Yeah.
it happens, you can refund it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you played only like a couple of hours of this game that you bought recently. Yeah, have your money back. Like,
Yeah.
go pay something else that you actually can play.
And that's where I think Steam is actually, as much as we all, you know, sometimes it can be easy to be cynical and go, oh, they've monopolized digital distribution of PC games and blah, blah, blah. But I actually think their service is very consumer friendly in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And, you know, they do offer a lot, as much as I do think they can basically print money. That's how how successful they are. But you know, especially compared to other places like Epic Game Store, which has been trying to compete for so long now, the amount of stuff they don't offer compared to Steam is staggering. Like, there's no review system, there's no forums on Epic where you can talk about games or talk to the developers of games to say, hey, what the fuck? Why isn't this working? Or, you know, any of that stuff doesn't exist on Epic and other storefronts, to be fair, not just picking out Epic, but all that kind of customer friendly stuff that Steam has built
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
exist
never to be
elsewhere.
seen. Yeah. Besides, first of all, you're able to. Well, you have your library. You can sort it in any way you want. You can also organize it, and you can say that about like most other libraries.
Yeah.
But also, you have all the customer service side of things, and on top of that, um, there's events like Steam Next Fest where you can try like demos of games like with no compromise whatsoever. And you can also get things like early access. There's regional pricing
Mm.
on Steam. So
Yeah.
since it was getting like the system was getting abused, they had to take out the ability to give games to people who has like a certain price difference between your region and their region, which is okay, which is fine because there are other games of acquiring those games. If you want to give it to someone, you can
Mm,
directly give games, which is something pretty much none other platform has done,
yeah.
I think. And
I think
you,
you can buy gift keys on other,
yeah, you
like I
can
know
buy the gift keys,
GOG
but
and Humble do that, I think, and yeah,
oh yeah, you can do that. But for
probably other
example,
things as well.
just directly give a game to your friend, like.
Yeah, yeah.
And finally, like, oh my god, I kind of forgot what I was about to say.
Sorry.
Oh, never mind. It is gone now. But at the end of the day, like, Steam has been like the most friendly, uh, I guess, uh, place to buy games from
Mm,
because there's so many options. Uh, and well, if you are like from a country that maybe like minimum wage ain't as good as more wealthier countries, you can still get the chance to play.
mm, yeah. Well, and I don't think Steam does everything perfect. They've got a lot of flaws, obviously, as well. Speaking of regional pricing and things, I know they let developers set their own regional pricing and
Yeah,
things. So a developer can choose, they get recommended or they get like a default template from Steam, but
yeah,
then they can choose, you know, if they want to edit that or whatever. So if they feel like actually, yeah, in America, I want to make it 20% off all the time, they can do that if they want.
yeah,
And they give a lot of control to developers as well on what on their side of things, you know, and how they can kind of communicate things to their players and all that kind of stuff, which I think is really good. And I part of the reason I'm thinking about this at the moment is because someone in England, I think some consumer activist person is trying to at the moment take a class action lawsuit against Steam to court for being basically abusive business practices and all this kind of stuff. And I saw a video on it on the other day from a game developer who was basically saying that's absolute bullshit. And like Steam take 30% from everything essentially. Every
yeah,
sale on Steam, for that matter, if you sell a key as a developer elsewhere, they don't take any percentage because it's only stuff that's on Steam. But when you think about the fact they're hosting the game, they're providing all the downloads, they're providing the whole platform,
if you
they're, you
want to
know,
patch a thing, that automatically updates.
yeah. If as a developer, if you want 1,000 keys to sell elsewhere, they'll give it to you. Like that's part of the deal. You know, they give you quite a lot for that 30% that they take, and it's actually pretty reasonable at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's pretty much a standard across the industry. Like pretty much any
Yeah,
platform will charge you around that, I think.
yeah, totally. And I'm sure it's very comparable anywhere. But I think the time when the buying stuff outright can have a bit of a question mark next to it, or the full price kind of cost, I suppose, is when you get onto consoles, interestingly enough, because I know around the world it's a little bit different, but definitely here in Australia, like console prices do not drop very quickly at all.
Definitely
So,
not.
you know, whatever the release price is for a game, which here is, you know, we've spoken about it before, it always sounds like a lot, but in Australia it's kind of, you know, comparable, is about $120 for like a brand new PlayStation 5 hot shit game, like whatever it may be. And it'll stay that price probably for a good year before it even begins to drop. And even then, it might drop down to maybe $80, which isn't heaps of a saving, especially compared to Steam, where like a game will release for full price and then a month later it's half price. And, you know, because their distribution is much quicker and obviously their prices vary a lot more.
Yeah, in a way, like, well, Nintendo Switch games like never drop in price,
Yeah,
especially like the first party ones. Uh,
that's the same here. Yeah.
but for well, this was true for PlayStation 4. I think PlayStation 5 is doing the things differently. But on PlayStation 4, like for $10, you can get like a game or like a game, either like a first party game that at some point got a price cut, or like got into a subscription service, or like pretty much any third party game like drops really quick in price on PS4.
Right.
That is not true for the PS5, which you have to sell your organs to get in the first place here.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is kind of why I ended up with Game Pass and PlayStation Plus to come back to subscriptions, is because for the cost of console games, for me, having the subscription is well worth it, because I basically never buy games on console these days. I only use the
Yeah,
subscription unless it's something I'm really, really hot on, but that's very rare anyway. It's rare these days that I won't be able to pick it up on PC for cheaper. So
definitely. Like, well, on console games, you can still like get used games for a slightly lower price or a higher price if you plan on playing a retro thing. But anyway, uh,
yeah, that's the thing. I don't really buy much physical either. I'm pretty much all digital these days.
I usually buy physical whenever I can. Mainly because I like having like the physical thing, and I can also share the game with my boyfriend or like with a friend. Which it's its own pro in that regard. And since Nintendo stopped doing the thing where you save your save file in the cartridge on the Switch generation, I can lend my copy of, I don't know, Pokemon to someone else, and they don't have to erase my save file, so it is fine.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah,
I think at the end of the day, yeah, I think a flat out purchase kind of has less surprises most of the time.
less surprises, less chance of you getting the thing taken out from you unless it gets banned on or removed from the eShop, Steam store, whatever. And even
Mm.
then, you can like back it up in a way. Like sometimes they say like, "Hey, you can still download it if you have it," or like you have until this day to download it, then never again.
Yeah, well, I actually have lots of games in my library which I know don't have store pages anymore because they've been taken off, but I still have it in my library, so I can still download and install it. So it exists on their servers. It's just not for sale anymore,
Yeah,
which, is good, because I'd be pissed if that wasn't the case. But
definitely.
yeah, I think that about covers it, don't you? Any final thoughts on that from you, Paula?
Nothing in particular, just that if by whatever reason, by for whatever reason, they decide to make an autonomous subscription service, then my life is
Mm.
over. Which I don't think it will ever happen,
Or it
but
would
it
probably be
is good
very
to dream.
expensive if it did.
Yeah. I'm still fine with buying the physical games, especially because they come with little trinkets.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think all business models are valid in certain scenarios, and depending on who you are and what you need and all that kind of thing.
Unless you're a predatory business that likes to take money out of little kids and
Yeah,
vulnerable people, but that's for
absolutely.
another day.
And that's what I mean. Like, free to play, microtransactions, all that kind of stuff. There are times when it works and it's okay, but unfortunately there are a lot of times where it doesn't and it's absolute shit.
Yeah.
So if I had to choose, I'd say don't want to see that anymore. But chances are we're going to see a lot more of it anyway, because they make a lot of money that way.
Yeah, and it is a very sad reality, but whatever.
But I think that's where we're going to leave it, hey?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, thank you for listening to another episode of the How Long to Beat podcast.
Hmm.
You may pay for extra DLC for a new game plus over. Okay, no.
Yeah, send
Imagine
us
if
all
this
your
was
monies.
yeah. Imagine if this was like subscription based. So we wouldn't
Some
have any
podcasts
value.
are, to be fair, but I tell you what, if for everyone who sends me $5, I'll dress up in a different costume each episode, which Paula's the only one who's going to see it, but I'll do it anyway.
Oh my god. Wait, but you already use a different outfit on each episode. You're
Shh,
just
don't tell them.
asking people to pay you for a thing that is already in the code.
But they don't know.
Well then, thank you everybody. I'll just say goodbye before this goes downhill again. Bye bye.
Yeah. See you later, everyone. Thanks for listening.
I had issues with a lot of civilizations last time.